When people get too deep into a religion, sometimes it can be very intense, if that makes sense. Okay.
So, in so many ways.
In so many ways. And
I'm excited. I like these topics.
And some people even get to the point where it becomes their whole life and they tend to leave their family and whatever they had in the past.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're in groups. And then sometimes it turns into cults. This happened back in the 1970s. There was a cult called Heaven's Gate where they decided to come together. Well, two people decided to have a group come together, and they believed that God was going to come back for them, but they were going to get taken from Earth in a spaceship with aliens.
Well, here, you know what aliens? Define aliens.
Well, for them, it was like aliens was like to take their souls. No, it wasn't like, technically it wasn't like how we think it's aliens. It was like more so aliens of like somebody coming to take your soul to bring you to heaven.
Yeah, because aliens means just not from this earth.
Yes. Literally. So that's what they were talking about. But they thought were aliens. Vehicle. Yeah. Yes. And so we as people that are outside of the group, we think of aliens like, what the heck is stupid? But they think, oh, aliens outside of this world are going to come and get us, right? Yeah. And so it got to the point where they were too involved into this cult and this religion. Basically, it ended up with a mass suicide. They all took their lives because they thought that that day was a day for them to leave.
How many people?
There was about 39, including the leader.
All 39 people? Mm-hmm. All good. I thought you meant 1,000. You're just saying, you know.
Not good.
Yes, but 39 over 39,000.
39 people that took their lives, you know.
Sadly, it's not from a bad leader.
Yeah, so it's not just like, it could be one person, it's still bad. Yeah. So they all took their lives, and they decided that that was a day that they were supposed to go, or the leader stated that that was the day that they were supposed to go from what the higher ups told him, and that they were going to be taken and it was their time to go on the spaceship. I'm only going to tell you what it's going to be about and how it came about and where did it go from him being the leader, or we'll talk about it, but him as in Marshall Applewhite is his name, and how he met Bonnie Nettles, his partner in crime, basically, and created Heaven's Gate and had a whole bunch of people believe in him and them and take their own lives at the end. Yeah. But let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Viewer and listener discretion is advised. This episode contains discussion of sensitive topics that may be distressing for some audiences. Please take care while listening, and if these topics are triggering for you, we encourage you to prioritize your well-being.
Welcome to T
and E with the T.
I'm your host, Teresa.
I'm your co-host, Edwin.
And today we're going to talk about Heaven's Gate. Marshall Applewhite. He was the leader of this cult of Heaven's Gate. I'm going to talk about the beginning or how his background was, okay? So he was born in Texas on May 17th of 1931. So this was a long time ago, right? Mm-hmm. He was raised by strict religious parents, okay? Religious parents. And they were involved in Christianity religion. His father was a Presbyterian minister, which I don't know if you know what a Presbyterian is, but basically it falls under Christianity, but it's taught by elders. Does that make sense? So good. It's like group of elders that teaches the word of God, right? So cool. Their beliefs are pretty similar as to Christianity, but
just elders basically can only teach it.
elders are the ones that teaches these
That's
practices.
pretty smart, actually.
Right. And so he ended up finishing college. So he went to college right after high school, and he ended up finishing at Austin College. Okay, this was in Texas. And he got his bachelor's degree in philosophy, which makes sense because of everything he kind of, thought he knew, right? Or believed in. But he finished in 1952. Okay.
Okay.
So that's when he
52.
graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Then he ended up enrolling into another college, which is called Union Presbyterian Seminary, to study theology.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Literally all makes sense. But anyway, so he was hoping to become a minister. That's why he wanted to go to the Presbyterian Seminary School. He ended up marrying this lady named Anne Pierce, which they ended up having 2 children. And when he married her, he then later on decided to leave the Union Presbyterian Seminary to pursue music. So he had he had a big interest in music, right? For whatever reason. But he wanted to pursue music, and so he became a music director at the Presbyterian Church in North Carolina.
Quick little note. Lucifer is really... I think Lucifer uses music to his advantage. Mm-hmm. I think it's like one of his strengths or something like that. He's a beautiful instrument or something like that. I forgot what it is, but he's connected to music.
Really?
Yeah.
But why would you want to connect Lucifer to him?
Because he started getting very intrigued into music.
Music?
And that's Lucifer's favorite.
Well, a little fun fact about him, he actually thought that Lucifer was here to come and take everybody. That's why he thought that it was best to leave the earth, because this earth was becoming corrupted. So he was against all of that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, he was very into Christianity. Sorry. But anyways, so he pursued music, and then he tried to become a singer, and that didn't work for him. So he wanted to become a singer in New York. He started basically singing in theater or stuff like that. And so it just never worked for him. Yeah. So after that, in 1965, he ended up moving on to teaching music at the University of Alabama. He ended up losing this job in the University of Alabama because he pursued a sexual relationship with a male student. Yeah, one of his students. So that's why he was kicked out of school.
A relationship?
Mm-hmm. A sexual relationship with this male student. Yeah. Now, he had a lot of struggles with his sexuality, and he was married to Anne. And when he, got fired from this job, Anne found out what was the reason why he got fired, and he ended up telling his family that he is homosexual. Anne obviously did not agree to this and decided to divorce him. So they ended up divorcing each other, right? So he was struggling a lot, trying to fit in, but nobody really accepted him at that time, because at that time homosexuality was not accepted by society.
It was actually neglected.
Yes.
Very strongly.
Especially for his father, that he was a minister, he did not believe that was something that he could be. So he kind of neglected him. Yeah. So that was the case for Marshall and his sexuality. So he was kind of struggling there. And after he tried to get into teaching music again, but it didn't work out for him. He went back and forth, and it was just not a thing it just didn't click, right? Then by 1971, his father ended up passing away, which led to his emotional toll. So he ended up taking it very hard, because his father was basically his idol. Even though he neglected him, he still like thought of his father as like, that's who I want to be, because he always wanted to be a Presbyterian minister just like his father. He had to go to a psychiatric hospital in 1972. Yeah. So when he entered this hospital, he ended up meeting Bonnie Nettles in this hospital. Now, I'm going to get into who Bonnie Nettles is. Bonnie Nettles was born in Texas as well, and she was born on August 29th, 1992. Okay, so she's a little bit older than Marshall, right?
1992? I don't think so.
1972. 32. 21? Oh, shoot. I didn't write the last number. Okay, so she was born on 1927.
Wait, his
I
dad
looked it
passed
up,
away,
okay?
right? That's when I was daydreaming. His dad passed
Yeah.
away. How old is he now that he went to the psychiatric hospital? Roughly.
Oh, I didn't even see.
Okay.
I mean, it was in 1972, so do the math. He was born in 1931.
31, 72. He's probably like 40.
Yeah, so he was not young. He was still kind of old. I mean, not old. I'm sorry, mid age. But anyways, so Bonnie Nettles. Let me get into Bonnie Nettles. So I looked it up. She was born in 1921. I mean, 7. I can't think right now. Okay, 1927 is when she was born.
She's a little bit older.
She was a little bit older than Marshall. She was raised in a Baptist family, and she moved away from that religion as she got older. As she got older, she was like, I don't want to be involved in this Baptist family, religion. And then she ended up becoming a nurse. She was interested in that, and she was also interested in theosophy and biblical prophecy. Okay? So she was so into that. She was also into astrology. So she was all around, right? Yeah. She also was married to a businessman named Joseph Nettles. And she got married in December of 49. So 1949, right? She ended up having 4 children. So she had a life of her own, just like Marshall, right? So Bonnie, like I said, she was a nurse. She was a nurse at the psychiatric hospital that Marshall was in, right? And so that's where they met. Okay. As soon as they met, Bonnie was like, I feel like I've known you for so long. So Bonnie she was in this she would go to a lot of psychics, and they would tell her, look out for a tall, fair skin, light hair man.
Connections. What in the Bible, in Leviticus, they warn us against prophets, like not prophets, what are they called? Sorcery. And reading the palms and reading your future and stuff like that. The Bible warns us about that stuff. And she's over here accepting that stuff.
Yeah.
So be connected to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The devil at work.
I don't know how.
Or the accuser at work, or whatever you want to
I feel
call
like they
him.
had their own beliefs. I feel like they had their own rules, but they still kind of felt like they were following God or following Jesus, and then the religion and stuff like that.
It's already made.
But I think that that's what they're doing. I'm not sure that that's the case, but it sounds like it because they had their own beliefs, right?
The only legit document we have about God and everything is the Bible.
Yeah.
And the Bible does not allow sorcery.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that, you know.
These psychics would tell her, look out for this man, and once you find him, follow him. He is supposed to be leading you, right? Or something like that, right? And then when they met, they felt the connection. Bonnie was like, that's him. He's the one, because he is light complected. He is tall. He has light hair and everything. And that's the guy. That's the guy I need to follow. So she went to him and told him this, and he was like, Marshall was like, I feel that we have known each other for a very long time. It feels like I've known you like forever, for my whole entire life, and that you were in my life in my past. So they were like, okay, well, this is it. Like, we together, we running together. Like, let's go. So they both believe kind of the same things, but Bonnie was kind of putting into Marshall about astrology and more of the theology, because he's already was into theology, right? So she kind of put him more, well, they say that Bonnie was at fault for how strong Marshall like was into this religion, or his beliefs. But yeah, so she kind of like had some sort of, what is it called?
Influence.
Yeah, influence in him a little bit, at least. Once this happens, then later on, around 1972 to 1973, Marshall ends up getting out of the hospital. Marshall, as soon as he gets out of the hospital, he ends up moving in with Bonnie. So he moves in with Bonnie.
Her husband?
Mind you, Bonnie is married and has 4 kids. And she moves a random man into her house that she's only known for a year. So she moves this random man in. As soon as that happens, she gets too deep into her beliefs and everything. She starts like saying that he hears this monk talking to her, and that he is telling her that this alien is gonna come get her and all this stuff, right? So as soon as this starts happening, and then he also tells her, like, he gives her instructions on how to do things and how to live her life and stuff like that. And so obviously her husband's like, you're crazy. And then he divorced her, and he moves on with his children, and she loses custody of her children.
Yeah, she should.
Yeah. During this time,
what the heck?
During this time, when Marshall ended up living with Bonnie, Marshall ended up leaving his family behind. So his 2 kids. So he decided to permanently lose connection with them. Right. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about the relationship between Bonnie and Marshall and how strong it got to the point where they created this whole cult, right? So by 1973, they ended up opening a bookstore, which was known as a Christian Arts Center in Houston, Texas. Now, in this bookstore, they would have books about like spiritual backgrounds. They had some books about Christianity, stuff like that, right? But they would have a lot of things like astrology, things like that, spiritual stuff. Okay, but they will also add some Christianity. From what I was reading in the research and the sources that I was looking at, they were kind of using Christianity to cover up what their beliefs are, like spiritual and then astrology thing, to kind of push that out there more. So then more than the than Christianity beliefs, if that makes sense, right? Even though they still believed in Christianity and the beliefs that Christianity had. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wonder why.
I have no idea. They were all over the place. But, so they did that, right? Then, later on, they started to travel around Western U.S. to teach about their beliefs. Now, this was a 6-month traveling thing, experience, whatever it's called.
It's called a missionary, I think.
Okay,
they had their own kind of missionary. So
they had their own kind of missionary where they went around and taught a whole bunch of people, and this was about for 6 months. They did that, right? Okay. While traveling.
That's crazy.
Yeah. While traveling, they had little to none money, right? They didn't have any money at all. I mean, they weren't really working. The bookstore already closed. So
it closed down?
They closed it. They ended up closing it. So they didn't have really any money to do anything. But what they would do is that they would pick up little jobs here and there as they go around the Western U.S. and just do little jobs to make money, right? They would sleep in cheap hotels. Sometimes they would sleep in their followers' home, stuff like that, right? Or they would sleep on the side of the road. That was their lives for 6 months, but it ended up becoming like a whole decade. But we'll get into it. Well, before they even started the traveling, they had their first follower, which was their friend, and her name was Sharon. And she ended up joining and traveling with them. And she left her family. She abandoned her kids to go and travel with them. But then she ended up leaving like a month later and then reuniting with her family. So I guess she probably thought, well, this is crazy, or maybe their beliefs are crazy, or something.
Crazy.
Or I'm crazy. I need to go.
What am I doing?
So they started recruiting people, and they started having like these little meetings, like these little gatherings in little areas, and people would show up. Around maybe 20 to 50 people would be there listening to their teachings and stuff like that. They would hand out flyers, and on these flyers, it would say UFOs, why they are here, who they have come for, when they will leave. Okay? So this is what they would hand out to these people when they were teaching them and telling them about their beliefs and preaching what they believed in. And they would have around 50 to 100 people join their group and travel around with them. Yeah. So in this flyer, I'm just going to talk about a little bit what it says. So they always consider themselves, or kind of name themselves, the two. Okay. They had a few other names, but we'll talk about that. So in the flyer, it says 2 individuals say they were sent from the level above human and will return to that level in a spaceship, in parentheses, UFO, within the next few months. This man and woman will discuss how the transition from the human level to the next level is accomplished and when this may be done. That's a little creepy, if you ask me. If I read that, I'll be like, I'm out. I'm not joining this. No, thank you. Right?
It sounds like this one thing. I saw this one video one time about Atlantis, and supposedly like how like there's higher beings and like whatnot, and they moved to Mars, and then from Mars they're coming back over here, and they're trying to get the portals, and the portals were the pyramids and stuff like that. It sounds very similar to something like that.
Really?
Yeah, I can't laugh because we truly don't know, you know?
Yeah.
But I know God, like I have faith that God is the way, you know what I mean? But
yeah. I don't know what made them believe this or how they came up with
can't
this.
disprove it, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we can't disprove it, but it's at the end of the day, it's like...
It's not proven, though.
A lot of people don't believe this is true.
There's not a lot of evidence for it.
So that's my point, is like, why did they believe this? What made them want to believe this?
And like from what we're coming up with, it's like they're making themselves believe it. They're constructing it as they go. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so... Like I said, at this time, they will call themselves the two, but they also call themselves Bo and Peep, which supposedly the followers gave them that name. This was the start of the Heaven's Gate. So now they recruited 50 to 100 people into their group throughout their, the time of traveling. Now, by 1975, Bonnie and Marshall... They renamed themselves as Doe and T. Doe and T. Doe was Marshall and T was Bonnie. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so they would preach. They would say a lot of things like they would be killed and then restored to life and transported into a spaceship and all this stuff, right? So that's what they preached. And that's how they thought that they were going to get to heaven. They believed that the souls were trapped in these bodies. Now, they kind of named bodies, or our bodies, as vehicles. So they thought that our souls were trapped in this vehicle, in our bodies. And the only way out is by shedding earthly desires like money, sex, family, to ascend to a higher extraterrestrial kingdom. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Okay. It's kind of somewhat... I understand where they're coming from.
What you mean?
You know what I mean? In a way, this is like our bodies are vessels. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are vessels, but we're not trapped in a sense. Do have like free will and stuff. I still don't understand, nor do I have a reason to investigate and understand this stuff, But also at the same time, when you want to be the holy of holies, you do have to segregate yourself from a bunch of that stuff, like worldly things. You do have to segregate yourself.
I mean, that makes sense, but the way they went about it is a little bit
extreme,
different.
Yeah.
So they said that we were trapped. Our souls are trapped in these bodies, and the only way out is to sacrifice these things. One is, money, sex, and family. So that's why they decided to have these people be like, okay, well, you have to sacrifice these things.
Yeah, but
you have to leave your family, and you have to come with me. Leave all your belongings. Give me your money.
Yeah, but those are for anointed people.
No, I know, and this is a cult. I mean, it's a whole different
but
story.
I see where they're coming from.
No,
and I bet you they could definitely pull text from the Bible to justify what they're doing.
Yes, they did.
What I mean?
If you see his videos, he would. Oh my God, these videos would be so long. But these videos, he would talk about like how God, like he would talk about the Bible and all this stuff, and then he would bring it back into his spaceship theory and how we were stuck in these vehicles, which is our bodies, and all this stuff. And it's long. It's like an hour-long video that he talks about, literally like nonstop. Talks about all of that.
Yeah, because demons and Satan and the accuser, all that stuff, they know the Bible. They know the Bible. They know the power of God.
Why are you saying that he's a demon?
They fear God. No, I'm saying it's like they use those things to confuse us. They could use those things to confuse us.
No,
it has been done in the past.
If you know how it is,
the Crusades, and
if you
all
know
that
how
stuff,
it is
the witch trials.
If you know how it is to be in a cult, most of the time they're just using certain things that you believe in, to kind of manipulate you.
Yeah,
like they know how to manipulate.
That's literally, yeah. That's in other words. That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, that's what they always do. They kind of run with one thing. Most of the time, it's always about God, religion. It's always about that. And they always use that to their advantage. Mm-hmm. They kind of turn it around, make it to where they think, or they would manipulate people into thinking, oh, I talk to God. He talks to me. He told me this and this and this and this, and this is how we're going to go.
That's crazy.
So that's how it usually is.
I can see where they come from with that, because Moses did that, Joshua did that, Abraham did that, David. I don't know if David did that. I think David did that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're very knowledgeable in the Bible to make it seem like, okay, well, they would believe me.
I was one of them. Yeah, that God talked to me.
Yeah. So they ended up teaching celibate, vegan lifestyle, and wear identical uniforms, right? Mm-hmm. Like the outfit that they wore when they died. But we'll talk about it. Throughout the traveling, they're doing their thing, they're teaching people, whatever, they're trying to recruit more people. They didn't have housing, okay? They didn't have enough money to be able to afford a home or something, Mm-hmm. So what they did is that they slept in tents and in sleeping bags on the side of the road, and they begged for money in the streets. So that's how they would get a little bit of money, mm-hmm. They would collect the money that they would have. So the leaders, Bonnie and Marshall, Doe and T, Boo and Peep, or whatever, however, they had so many names. Bonnie and Marshall would collect their money, the followers' money, and kind of use that into whatever they needed to do, or use it for whatever thing. And they would also ask for money on the side of the road, right? They started coming up with groups of names. So the first name that they came up with was Human Individual Metaphorsis. What a long name. Anyways, next one was Total Overhaul of the Human Soul. That was another name. And then the last one, and the one they stuck with, was Heaven's Gate.
Oh, the name of the group. Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought they were naming tribes and stuff.
Oh, no. This is their name of the group. Yeah. So those are the three names. There were other names, but those are the three main names that they kind of named themselves. But the Heaven's Gate kind of stuck, right? That was the last name. Mm-hmm. So then in 1983, Bonnie was diagnosed with cancer. Okay. And so there's a lot of resources. Some say that she was calm about it. She kind of accepted it. And she was like, she believed that she was ascending first to heaven, to whatever it is. like they call it, she was ascending to the spaceship kingdom. Okay, so she was thinking that she was going to go first, and she was, happy about it, right? Other sources say that she basically dismissed the diagnosis and didn't believe the doctors and thought the doctors were ignorant. Lying. And that she believed that she could not die. So crazy. The reason why she believed that she couldn't die was because she thought that her, Bonnie, and Marshall had to ascend together. Ascend to the spaceship kingdom. So there's different things here and there.
Screws loose.
Yeah, so I don't
I'm just kidding.
So I don't know which one's true, but I would believe the second one. Maybe a mixture of two. But yeah.
Yeah, I could see the mixture of the two.
Yeah. So
or both of them. They could think both of them were true.
Maybe. Yeah. So that's what happened. She was diagnosed with cancer. She ended up losing an eye during this. And then eventually ended up worsening and led to her liver. Yeah. It was spreading to her liver. And it got worse, and it spread everywhere, her whole body. And she ended up dying in 1985. So 2 years later. Mm-hmm. When she died, her body was cremated. And Marshall explained to the group that she had left because her work was done on this level. So they thought of it as like levels, okay? And that this was one level, and the next level was in heaven, right? But anyways, he said that she was done with this level, but that he still had more that he had to do on this level. That's why he didn't go. Okay? So, this was the turning point for the group and for Marshall and how it was all going to turn out, right? Yeah. In the 1990s, the internet was new, right? So it was becoming a new thing. People were starting to use the internet, and it was just something new. Computers were coming out, all this stuff. And they jumped the gun immediately. They were like, okay, the internet is out. Let's use it to our advantage. Let's make a website.
And recruit more people.
And we'll recruit more people using that website. So that's what they did. They did that. They also made a whole freaking, what is it called? Web design.
Web designer?
Company.
Yeah.
I'll get into it later, but they made a whole web design company, and they learned HTML.
Oh, they made the website designing company?
Yeah. They learned HTML, and that was, for the most part, that's where they got their money. This was doing really good for them. They would make about $50,000 a year. Mm. And at that time, that was a lot, right? Because the thing is that they jumped the gun right immediately. As soon as the internet was starting to become famous, they were like, let's make websites. And then they learned HTML, and they did all of it, right? Rumors started spreading among the group in the following years. From 1995 to 1997, there was going to be a Comet Hale Bopp, okay? A Comet Hale Bopp was basically an icy snowball that's past Pluto, hurtling around the sun, and it only comes once every 2,000 years. And it was going to come throughout 1995 to 1997. Mm-hmm. Okay. 1995, you weren't going to see it too much, but by 1997, you were going to see it like...
This is my birth year.
Bright, yeah. It was going to be bright that year, and you were going to see it, right? This was their moment. Okay, that's what Marshall stated to the group, that this was their moment and this was their time to shine, basically. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to get into the end of Heaven's Gate and what happened to them. Okay. So by 1996, they had rented out a mansion, right? This mansion was about 9,200 square feet big. Okay? I don't know how big that is, but that sounds big to me.
9,000 is double the size of Meraki. New Meraki. More than double the size of
Then
New
that's
Meraki.
huge.
Yeah.
So it was a big mansion, and they paid $7,000 per month cash. $7,000 per month cash.
That's crazy.
You know how they got that money? Because of the web design company that they had, which was called Higher Source Enterprises. And that's when they started making websites. And this was in 1993 when they started that. And so that's how they started making money.
1993?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, you said 1987.
1996 is when they got the mansion.
You said 87. Oh.
No. I said 1996.
Okay.
1996 is when they got the mansion, but in 1993 is when they started the web design company.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they started making money and being able to afford to stay wherever. But this mansion is very, it's like monumental, or very like, yeah, I guess monumental is the word. Because this was the mansion that they were found in. Okay? But they rented this mansion for $7,000 per month with cash. Anyways, the same month, they ended up purchasing an alien abduction insurance. I never knew that was a thing. There's an insurance for that. Well, it used to. It closed down, but that's crazy. So they ended up purchasing an alien abduction insurance that would cover up. I mean, for everybody in the group, sorry. And they would basically cover each member and pay out $1 million per person if they were abducted, impregnated, or died by aliens. Then we should laugh. I bet we should laugh. It's not funny. But yeah, that's what they did. They never even got to use that money because they died. I'm sorry. That's so sad. But anyways, they never got to use that money.
They got that money?
No.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. They never got to use it. They never got it. Right?
Because it wasn't insured, right?
Well, okay. So the reason why they wanted to do this whole insurance, or why they wanted to get the insurance, was because Marshall wanted to prove to everybody that was outside of the group that this is real and we're trying to protect ourselves. So if you're not going to get the insurance, if you're not trying to join into our group, well, you're stupid, because you're going to die and you're going to suffer on this earth.
The insurance company was like, hard. Give me your money.
Well, not too long after they ended up purchasing the insurance, or passing away too, they closed down. So, and they only paid $1,000 for everybody. All 39 of them.
Uh-huh.
That's including Marshall.
They paid, like, that's how much they paid per month or per year?
Well,
for the insurance policy itself?
Yeah.
Entirely? $1,000?
$1,000 for everybody.
Each?
No, in total.
Oh.
Supposedly, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So it was supposedly $1,000 in total for the whole group. Whatever. But yeah, like I said, they never really got to see that money, but that was the thing. So by March 1997, media started reporting a mass sighting of the comet Hale-Bopp. Okay? And this is when Marshall was like, okay, everybody, let's get ready because we're about to go. Like, this is our time. So Marshall told everybody that God told him the spaceship was coming with the comet to pick him up by the aliens. So that's what he said. So as soon as they picked a certain day, I guess, and they picked March 26th. Well, it was March 25th to March 26th. But anyways, that's what he told them, that to be ready. We're about to do this. This is the day we're going to do it. And we're going to go. Right? We can't miss it. Because if we miss it, we're not going to get saved. Okay? So he stated, and this is quote unquote, "Our ride is here." And he had to take, basically he stated that they had to take their own lives to go and to be saved. And Marshall ended up filming his own video, basically like a farewell, like his final statement, and stating like what they were gonna do. And every individual also did their own video as well.
This is March 19, 1997. And I'm Doe, some called our partnership T and Doe. That's not my name, but that's how I'm referred to on planet Earth at this time. I've been talking to my students that are sitting in front of me about talking to you. And let me say that our mission here at this time is about to come to a close in the next few days. We came from distant space, and even what some might call somewhat of another dimension, and we're about to return from whence we came. And I'd say that when we say we came from distant space, that we're talking about what your religious literature would call the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God. And we came for the express purpose to offer a doorway to the kingdom of God at the end of this civilization, the end of this age, the end of this millennium.
First of all, those videos are very sad because some people are crying, some are excited. One woman, from what I was reading, some woman said that they felt like they were gonna go to Disney World. Like, it was very different emotions, but you could see, there were some people, you could see the pain in their eyes. It just seemed like some of them were being forced and they didn't want to do this, but they had to.
From someone who, has heard some of this stuff.
Okay, before we move on to Questodi, one last question. How do you feel about what is ahead for us?
Oh, this is the happiest day of my life. I mean, I've been looking for this for so long.
We're all choosing of our own free will, go to the next level with T and Doe. And they are certainly not what the media is going to paint them out to be.
So
they were iffy about it.
Yeah, some people were iffy about it because they were like, is this even real? Some people left. So before all of this, before everything, there were still more people in the group. But the last one standing, the last one standings were the 38 people. 39 including Marshall, but yeah. So, yeah, they recorded this video. There were like 30-second long videos, and that was that. And in the group, what was left, like I said, was 38 people, and there were 21 women and 18 men, and they range from the ages of 26 to 72. So, yeah. By March 25th, 1997, they decided to do a 3-group, like, what is the word? They basically split into 3 groups. So the first group was going to go first. Okay? And this was in the span of 3 hours when they all passed. But anyways, it was late at night. That's why I said it was from March 25th to March 26th. But anyways. Okay. So the reason why they wanted to split it down to 3 groups was because the first group would go, right? And then the remaining group would clean up and kind of cover their faces with this purple cloth. And they would just clean up after them. And then they were next. And then the group before them or after them was going to clean them up. And then, it's just like this whole domino effect.
How did they...
Don't look. What?
How did they self-exit?
Okay, so that's what I was going to talk about. So what they did and how they took their lives is they took phenobarbital. They took some pills. I forgot how to pronounce it. But they took some pills. They mixed it with applesauce or pudding. And then to wash it down, they drank vodka. So the pills that they took about 20 pills. Each. They had a whole bunch of stacks of that type of medicine. Allegedly, he ended up testing this on a dog and it worked. So that's why he decided to run with that and take that and use it. Yeah. So they would, now this whole thing, it would make them basically knock out. So go to sleep. And then in 90 minutes, they would just stop breathing. So it wasn't a painful death. When they were found, supposedly the officer said that they were found very peaceful. Like, it didn't look like they were struggling. And it just looked like they all looked the same. They all looked peaceful. When they were found. Okay. Now, their face was covered, like I said, with purple cloth. And then all of them wore black and white, like, suits. And they wore these Nike shoes. And everybody, like, it became like a huge thing. Nike ended up taking those shoes down after this whole happened. Because obviously they didn't want to be involved in that type of thing. So, yeah, but that was like the iconic thing, is that they all wore Nike black and white shoes. Why are you laughing?
Que mamadas.
Yeah. I don't know why. What was the reason for Nike?
Bro, this guy was in a psychiatric hospital. And they listened to him.
Well, I don't think they knew that he was in a psychiatric. I mean, Bonnie did, but Bonnie was also crazy herself. And she was a nurse, so I don't know. But anyways, yeah, and then they all had $5.75 in their pocket. And it was for supposedly the cost to ride the trail of a comet to heaven. That was supposedly it. There was also other things that would say, like, it was kind of like a joke. It was like $5 to get me there, but if not, then take my 3 cents. Take my 75 cents to take a train. I don't know. It was some weird thing, but there was just a lot of like speculation as to why they had all of them had $5.75 in their pocket. But I believe this more, that it was the cost of their ride to get into the spaceship. Yeah. So yeah.
How did they know that they used USAID?
I don't know. But they
USD,
did.
I mean.
Okay, so when everybody died, so it was the first group, then the second group, and then the third group, right?
Probably Marshall was in the third group.
Yeah, Marshall was in the third group. He was last. It's always them. The cult leaders are always the last ones to say bye-bye. But he was the last, third to last. So the reason why he wanted to be third to last is because he wanted his followers to cover him up and clean him up and everything. And then they get to do that to themselves. The last person, I don't even know how he was able to. I guess maybe like what before.
He had himself already prepped and he did it.
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So he was the third to last member to die. And the way they were found was because Rio D'Amelio, Rio, basically, he was a former member of the cult, right? But he ended up leaving a few years earlier. But he still decided to do their website, to work on their website. Rio was trying to contact them, but they were not answering because they turned off their phones.
They were on the spaceship.
No. They ended up turning off their phones. So they all turned off their phones. to not be interrupted because Marshall wanted this death to be very peaceful and not to be messy and to be very just calm and clean. So that's how he wanted it to be. And so they ended up, turning off their phones and everything. And Rio was trying to contact them and the phone line was off. So he decided to go to the house around March 26th at 4 p.m. And when he got there, he noticed that the back door was unlocked. And this was intentional because he knew, I guess, from what I was reading, Marshall knew that they would be found one day. And he didn't want any no breaking windows, none of that. He just wanted them to go in and find them.
No breaching.
Yeah. And so the back door was unlocked. Rio went in. He found the bodies. And he immediately called 911. And when he called 911, they came to the house. And when they got there, they saw all the bodies lying in their bed, covered with a, purple sheet over them, and with their top part, and then with their Nike black and white shoes. All of them were all laying there. And like I said, they were all laying very peacefully. And they didn't seem like nobody struggled. Nobody was like in distress, nothing like that. And so, so they found all the bodies. They found the footage of all the members saying goodbye. And Marshall saying goodbye. And and that was it. When I was looking at the video, and I'll show you the pictures in a bit. But I was looking at the video of him like saying goodbye and his videos before. He looks really creepy. He's like, his eyes are so like wide and creepy looking. So he looks kind of scary. But anyways, the followers, some of them look like they didn't want to go. Some of them did, like I said. So some of them were okay. Some of them were okay, but some of them were like crying, and it was really sad.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But 32 people. 38 people.
Yes.
39 with Marshall.
39 in total passed away. And this was, at the moment, one of the biggest mass suicides. Well, there was another one early in the 1900s, but that one was way worse. That one was hundreds of people. But maybe I'll do a story on that one. But that one was a little bit crazy and creepy. But this seemed a little bit more peaceful. It was in the home of the mansion. Obviously, it was really sad. Their families, they were told that their siblings, their mom, their dad, their brother, whoever they were to them, that they had taken their own lives. And, and there was a lot of people that came out that were part of the cult before that left, that would talk about, this is the practices, this is what they were doing, and he would talk about this all the time, and I didn't want to be involved in it. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's really hard to kind of say like, oh, why did they stay, or what, whatever it is, because it's like whenever you're in that type of situation, I feel like it's kind of hard. Like, say the people that didn't want to stay but kind of felt forced, it's kind of hard to just leave, because
you just dropped your whole life for that.
Yeah.
That's your reality now, and like if you're gonna have a big midlife crisis, if you're like, maybe this might not be true.
Yeah, especially because
people
it's like,
don't want to face that.
It's a belief of, am I going to go against God at this moment? Because what if this is true? And I'm leaving from it. Because this has to do with religion. Like, remember that. This has to do with a big part of people's lives. Religion is a big part. There's some people that, really feel like there's a heaven and there's a hell. And if this was true to them, they would feel like, if I leave, then what if I'm not going to heaven? So it was just really hard for the people the victims. But a lot of people say they didn't take their own lives. They were murdered. And there was only one suicide, and that was Marshall. because they say that Marshall was the one to
Influence them all.
implement. Yeah. But that is a story of Heaven's Gate. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video.
Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comment section any details that we missed, any questions, and let us know how you feel about this video.
And thank you for watching, and I'll see you, or we'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Bye.